Hi, I'm Karina McLeod from eCommerce Nurse, and today I'm going to be continuing to talk about Amazon Europe. In the last video, I spoke about identifying opportunity and answering that question as to whether or not you should be expanding into Europe. So I'm assuming that you have identified opportunity and now you're wanting to know the next steps of whether or not you should be selling into Europe. And so today I'm going to be talking about that exciting part of operations. So if you know that you want to start selling in Europe, you've identified the marketplaces that you want to sell in, it's then about really understanding the legal requirements for your product. So you want to understand what the compliance is when it comes to your packaging, your labeling, whether there's any certain CE marking, legislation, for example, when you've got batteries included in your product. All of those different directives and legislation you need to be familiar with, and that will be country specific as well as EU specific. So make sure you're familiar with the compliance for your products and that you are able to sell them, because last thing you want are your products being stuck at customs, or you get them through customs, they start selling on Amazon and then Amazon pulls the listing. So make sure that your products are all compliant. Also, you want to understand what your tax obligation is. We always say advise a tax consultant. They'll be able to tell you which countries you need to be registered for VAT. So that's something that we would suggest. There are a lot of companies out there, such as Global E-commerce Experts, Simply VAT, Alvalara, who can support you with getting yourself VAT registered for specific countries. And as I said, identifying which countries you actually need to pay VAT in. It's also about applying for an EORI number. You need this number in order to import your goods. So if you're getting VAT registered, you'll also be able to get alongside that your EORI number. So make sure that you include that when having those conversations with a tax consultant. Also, we spoke previously about making sure that your brand translates well into that country. Once you know that it does, and you know that your trademark hasn't been registered by anybody else, make sure you get your trademark registered straight away. And you'll need to do that either for each country or do it for the EU as a whole, which will end up being a lot more cost effective. But also you need to be aware that now we are post-Brexit, you'll need a separate registration for the UK. So make sure you get that sorted. Also, you want to identify the right shipping company for your business and appoint them. So there's a lot of different shipping companies out there. We work with Global E-commerce Experts. They work with a number of US sellers selling products into Europe and are familiar with the ways of working with Amazon. They're a good company, as well as many others. It's good to get a quote from a variety of companies and see what they can do for you so you can select the right business for your internal needs. Also, you might want to consider using a 3PL logistics provider to hold your inventory in Europe or in mainland Europe, one in the UK as well. It really depends again on the marketplaces that you're selling to. We always recommend having a 3PL logistics provider, as last thing that you want is to be shipping goods over from the US and it gets stuck at customs and it needs to get to a customer. You want to have that inventory close to Amazon. Even if you're doing Amazon fulfillment by Amazon, having that inventory just allows you to tap into it when demand increases. And also when you're dealing with Amazon and fulfillment by Amazon, you have those stock limits. So that makes it even harder to send a certain lump sum of inventory into Amazon if they're restricting the quantity that you can send in. Also, what you want to make sure is that you are actually looking at the Amazon seller program and what one's right for your business. And there's a couple of options. You've got the European Fulfillment Network, which is basically where you send product to one location, let's say your home marketplace, it might be Germany, and you can set up your products in all other countries. And if, for example, a customer places an order on Amazon Spain, Amazon will then fulfill that order from the inventory in German and send that over to the customer in Spain. Now, pre-Brexit, the European Fulfillment Network included the UK. Unfortunately, now it's different, although we are seeing slight changes. So keep your eyes peeled, because now Amazon are adding the UK back into the European Fulfillment Network. but you need to apply for that, and the products need to come under a certain value for that to actually happen. So that's European Fulfillment Network. There is also multi-country inventory as well, where you actually decide which location you want to send inventory. So it might be that you want to sell in the UK and Germany. With the post-Brexit, it isn't so easy to send inventory across the two. So you might want to hold inventory in the UK and then decide to hold inventory in Germany. There's also the pan-EU, pan-European fulfillment as well, which is the one Amazon pushes, which is effectively where you choose the countries that you wish to sell in, you send the inventory to one location, and Amazon basically redistributes that inventory across the EU closer to the customers. Now, one thing to just be aware of is that it sounds very appealing selling to customers across 8-9 different marketplaces, but you will then find that your VAT obligation, your tax obligation, is then going to be for almost every country that you hold inventory in. Although, again, I'm not a tax specialist, so don't quote me on that, but just to warn you, that does change things, and the offer almost appeals less attractive. So be quite selective in terms of, if you go through that, down that pan EU route, be quite selective in terms of the countries you wish to work with. So hopefully that gives you some idea of things to consider. We do have a checklist that you can download from our website at ecommercenurse.com, and that will just help you look at all the different areas that you need to consider before you even sell into Europe, and you can tick those off as you go through them. And if you need any help with expanding into Europe, then eCommerce Nurse is there to help you. We would love to hear from you, so please just reach out via our contact us, and somebody in the team will get back to you. Thanks, everyone.